Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A second arrest has been made in connection with a murder at a Thunder Bay hotel this past weekend. City police say their ongoing homicide investigation has led to charges against a teenage boy. 16-year-old from Toronto appeared in court this morning and was formally charged with second-degree murder. The May 30th incident at the Midtown Inn claimed the life of 29-year-old Paul Vivier of Victoria, BC. The new arrest comes just a few days after 36-year-old Dennis Terry Bernard was charged with second-degree murder for his role in Vivier's death. The youth also faces charges of trafficking fentanyl on top of a number of court breaches. Detective Inspector John Fennell says the level of youth involvement in recent major cases is a real cause for concern.
I can tell you, as I've said before, extremely concerned about some of the trends that I'm seeing. So whether it's the homicides we're talking about, where there's a great deal of youth involvement, as well as the drug trade, how many have we been arresting now that are under the age of 18? These people are coming from, 16 hours away, Toronto, and these youths are independently working on their own. So yeah, it's a great concern.
Both Bernard and the youth will appear in court next week. Meanwhile, city police are also reporting their largest ever single seizure of fentanyl in Thunder Bay. The investigation into ongoing drug trafficking activities started in the fall of 2019, and the arrest of 3 suspects was announced today. The intelligence unit investigation focused on an address in the 500 block of the Van Norman Street, with the suspects believed to be supplying trap houses throughout the city. A search warrant was executed last night with help from the OPP. Police seized an estimated $400,000 worth of drugs, including a pound of fentanyl and over a pound of cocaine. They also confiscated a handgun and around $150,000 in cash. A 21-year-old Toronto man, a 20-year-old Mississauga woman, and a 24-year-old woman from the UK have been arrested and face multiple charges, including drug trafficking. Detective Sergeant Dan Irwin says this isn't the only house in the city like this.
We're doing this one investigation, we're doing multiple investigations. We're not just focused on one, we focus on everything we can, and that's the great work that the guys and girls, that all of us do. So just wanted to make mention of that. There's not just one, there's multiple investigations. So.
All 3 accused appeared in bail court today and remain in custody with future court dates. Tomorrow's Black Lives Matter protest is expected to see over 500 attendees. The province is currently limiting gatherings to 5 people or less during the pandemic, but the district's medical officer of health says she realizes the importance of the demonstration and just wants everyone to be safe. Waverly Park is the site for the protest, where hundreds of people will gather and march together. The young organizers insist they're taking every precaution they can. Masks will be mandatory, and hundreds will be available on site for free, as well as hand sanitizer, and security will do their best to keep people distanced. Dr. Janet DeMille says the protest has a significant purpose, and she notes that racism itself is a public health issue. She's urging those with COVID symptoms to stay home, with those in attendance being as safe as they can.
If everybody there is taking the appropriate measures, then that can be done safely to minimize any spread of the virus at that event. So, a couple of things is to really try to maintain that physical distance, to spread out, use all the space that's available to spread out. If you're going to be close to somebody, make sure that, ideally that's the individuals within your own household group.
The protest starts at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And some good news today from the regional hospital regarding that potential COVID-19 outbreak involving a physician who tested positive on Sunday. About 140 hospital staff and patients who were potentially exposed were tested for the virus, and as of today, all 26 patients who had contact with the physician have tested negative. An additional 8 patients were tested out of precaution, and all of those were also negative. Tests are still outstanding for 4 patients who had been discharged. As for staff, 93 tests have been returned and all came back negative. Approximately 40 tests remain outstanding. The patients will be tested again after 14 days, and all staff members are eligible for testing at any time, even if they are asymptomatic. The COVID-19 pandemic has devastated Ontario's tourism sector. The hit is expected to become even deeper over the summer months, and it could take years to fully rebound. Colin DeMello has the story.
COVID-19's impact on Ontario's tourism sector has been devastating. Parades have been scrapped, street festivals have been cancelled, and tourism hotspots have been deserted.
With COVID-19, we are tracking $20 billion at least in economic losses within these sectors.
The government says 350,000 jobs were lost in the sector when the province first shut down the economy, and it could only get worse from here.
We were hit first, we were hit hardest, and it's going to take the longest for our sectors to recover.
With the provincial closures dragging into the summer months, the financial impact could only grow. The province says 40% of all tourism happens during the summer months. But with art galleries, convention centers closed, and major festivals canceled, the hit will be deep.
The projected loss to Toronto's economy from direct, indirect visitor spend could reach over $5.9 billion over the next 12 to 14 months.
What's worse, the government says, is tourists will start changing their behavior, driven by fear of large crowds.
The depth and the length of this crisis far exceeds previous downturns, and current estimates suggest it may be 2024 before tourism spending will recover to 2019 levels.
In the meantime, the industries affected say they have received little information about the reopening and what it will look like.
Our sector needs clear and credible information about the reopening process, not only for the businesses in the sector, but also for the future visitors.
The government says policies are in the works, but the timeline is still up in the air.
Well, we have had a number of conversations about what would be included in stage 2, but not when.
Leaving those hard-hit industries stagnating on the sidelines.
Thunder Bay's famous Finnish restaurant, the Hoito, has filed for bankruptcy. The Hoito is part of the many properties owned by the Finlandia Association, which is currently in the liquidation process, being overseen by Grant Thornton. Finlandia is more than $1 million in debt, including close to $500,000 owed to the Hoito itself. The restaurant has published a notice to creditors that an assignment was filed on May 27th. Officials with Grant Thornton say the first public meeting of creditors will be held on June 16th via teleconference. Meanwhile, another local longtime Thunder Bay landmark, the Moose Hall on Fort William Road, is also facing an uncertain future due to the effects of COVID-19. The Moose Lodge has been in operation since the early 1950s. It's hosted countless events and large public gatherings over that time, including the annual Empty Bowls fundraiser and the breakfast with the Easter Bunny. The hall has been closed since mid-March, but the bills keep coming. Officials say they don't qualify for any government funding, and without some help, they might not open again after 70 years of serving the community. A GoFundMe was launched with a goal of $10,000. Moose Lodge Administrator Patrick Cross says they're at the end of their rope and need help to survive.
Well, we are at the end of our bank account, and thus I have tried the GoFundMe. You know, we have no other way of raising money right now because everything's going out and nothing's coming in.
In another method to raise funds, the Moose Lodge will be selling ribs for pickup on Father's Day, and they've already started receiving orders. Development continues at Prince Arthur's Landing this summer, but there's been a major change to the Market Square component that was part of the original design. Initially, a market building was supposed to be built on the land between the splash pad and the new Delta Hotel, but somewhere along the line that changed after the city's waterfront development partner, the Winnipeg-based Resolve Group, failed to meet multiple deadlines. Instead, that's now being used as community space, and tables, chairs, and umbrellas have been installed, and there will be work done on this nearby gravel parking lot. That includes asphalt and concrete paving, electrical infrastructure, and lighting to allow food trucks to set up on the property, as well as a storm water infrastructure and additional landscaping. The total price tag is $500,000. Confederation College has outlined a plan for the upcoming school semesters while keeping themselves open to expand hands-on learning safely. The college is exploring all kinds of measures for each semester, with a gradual shift to face-to-face learning for courses where it's possible or necessary. Corey Nordstrom has more.
Obviously, we don't know yet what the fall will bring, but we anticipate where we can deliver online. Obviously, that's what we're going to do to keep people safe, and where we can't, we're going to attempt to bring people together in a safe fashion.
Confederation College President Kathleen Lynch says they are going with a hybrid approach to the coming semesters. They are taking it program by program, counting on faculty to guide them when it comes to what can be done online and what will need to be done in person. The college is looking at larger areas like the McIntyre Building and Tech Hub, where they can use the space to help distance their students with regular cleaning and pre-screening in place. Additionally, they have begun pilot projects on getting summer semester students into some technology-based labs already. The college also benefits from having equipment students can use.
We have a lot of mannequins, we have a lot of simulation, so we can do those pieces. And that's been really a boon to us to have such great equipment here, especially our nursing labs, our dental labs. We have fantastic equipment that simulates the real thing.
Lynch says they've been successful in completing all of their winter semester programs except 4 that need the use of outside facilities or have mandatory placements that can't be complete, including the flight program, medical lab assistant, and these others.
Pre-service firefighter, we're dependent on some training facilities that aren't yet open. Dental assisting, we need placements in labs, so we're trying to plan to see what could we do to get those students through.
Lynch says they are in a wait-and-see situation for those courses at this point. She is hoping things are more flexible by September and they can get back to as much hands-on learning as is possible for the fall semester. And if any students aren't comfortable with in-person classes amid the pandemic, alternate arrangements can be made. And students who want to stay at the college residences for the upcoming fall semester can still do so. More information is available on the college's website. Corey Nordstrom, TBC News.
Well, they may not be able to go up on stage to collect their diplomas this year, but today, students from St. Ignatius High School were still able to receive their graduation cap and gown outside of the building. Cole Promain has the story.
Cars were lined up outside St. Ignatius High School, where staff members were handing out gowns and caps to the graduating class of 2020. Because of COVID-19, the school's plan for this year involves graduates either submitting their own video of them receiving their diploma from a family member on Facebook, or the school has scheduled times next week where students can receive their diploma on the football field. Mike Filippetti, the principal of St. Ignatius, says everyone who came out to get their gown was quite content.
Everyone seems happy to see staff. For the most part, I mean, the kids miss school. They wish they were here. They wish they could be having all of the events that happen in June. It's something. It's every little bit, I think, helps, and everything that we can do, every little piece that we've planned and are able to share with them, it's appreciated. It's just nice to see our students and see the smiles on their face.
St. Ignatius graduate Lindsay Pahulski says this was a nice chance to see her teachers and friends again since the start of the pandemic.
It meant a lot, actually. It just kind of warmed my heart, I guess, being able to, see my teachers and just people driving by as well, like my classmates and everything like that. It was just nice, getting to see them again before I leave too for universities.
A similar gown pickup will be happening at St. Pat's on Monday morning. Cole Promain, TBT News.
With the Canada-U.S. border closure potentially ending on June 21st, Grand Portage Lodge and Casino has announced a plan to reopen the next day. The Minnesota facility has been closed since March 18th due to the pandemic, and as Avery McRae explains, guests can expect many new safety protocols, including a change in the casino's smoking policy.
The Thunder Bay market is definitely our primary market, and that's the market that comes down on a year-round basis.
With a tentative reopening date of June 22nd, city residents may soon be heading south of the border back to Grand Portage Lodge and Casino. As Enterprise Administrator Brian Sherburne explains, the casino will operate at just 50% capacity. All guests will be asked to self-social distance inside and wear face masks and gloves that will be made available. Almost all the gaming machines will be turned on so regulars won't lose their favorite slot.
We will be doing thorough deep cleaning of the machines daily as well as ongoing through the day. But we'll also have wipes if someone wants to wipe down just to reassure themselves that they have a sanitized machine. When someone is done playing machine, we're going to ask that they push their chair back in and turn the call light on the slot machine. And that will alert an attendant to come over and sanitize that machine for the next player.
The casino's hotel is also set to tentatively reopen on the 22nd and, like the gaming floor, will operate at 50% capacity. Rooms will be left vacant for one day in between guests to ensure thorough cleaning can be done, and some of the restrictions on cancellations are being loosened. Sherburne says guests can also expect a change in the smoking policy.
We will also be a completely smoke-free facility. So smoking will not be allowed on the gaming floor or in our lounge. Those were the two areas that smoking was allowed. But we will have a smoking area in one of our event center rooms. So if someone does wish to have a cigarette, they don't want to step outside, there will be a designated smoking room for guests. So no more smoking on the casino floor or in the lounge, but we will have an area where someone could have a cigarette.
The reopening of the facility will see all 140 employees return to work. However, if the reopening of the Pigeon River border is delayed past June 21st, the opening of the casino will be delayed as well. Avery McRae, TBT News.
Avery McRae, huge casino.